Hello, friends. Welcome to the Impact Hour. I'm Aura Vasquez, and I am so delighted to invite you to a conversation today with Jennifer Morris from Earth Day Initiatives. As you know, this month is we celebrate Earth Day, and I wanted to invite a guest that could walk us through a little bit of the history of Earth Day and also what is Earth Day today. I also want to invite you to be part of this conversation and share with us what is Earth Day to you and how do you celebrate and what are some of the things that you believe are true today as we are, fighting greenhouse gases, decarbonizing grids, uplifting communities of color and environmental justice communities, and more to really be able to have a livable planet for future generations. So thank you. You can also share this live stream podcast with your community and make sure that we have a lively conversation, today with all of you. Right now, we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, and also on Instagram. So if for any reason none of those platforms work, you can also see our podcast in YouTube live and the conversation that we're going to have. If you believe that we're having some sound issues, please go ahead and let us know so that we can, adjust accordingly. But thank you so much for being in this amazing journey with me. I also want to thank all of you that were part of choosing the very name of this podcast called now the Impact Hour Real Talk with Aura Vasquez, and also for helping me through this journey, this creative journey, to bring a space for our community to be part of something that we can learn and bring awareness and also create a better impact, positive impact in our community. So with no further ado, I want to introduce you guys to Jennifer Morris. Hello, Jennifer, and welcome.
Hi. Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And I know that you're in New York, so it's a little later there.
Yes, you can see the sun setting behind me.
Beautiful. I hope that the weather is it's getting better right now, and this is spring, time for, for in New York City.
Yeah, the weather was crazy this past weekend. It went from 40 to 70 to 80, and now who knows what it's going to be tomorrow, probably raining.
Wow. Well, yeah. I wanted to invite you, and the way that we kind of came about each other was a few months ago or so, or maybe a month ago. I received an email to that. Actually, your email reminded me about Earth Day.
Funny.
I kind of have forgotten about Earth Day. And also, just to be completely honest, and I think a lot of my friends in the environmental movement, have their reservations now around Earth Day because, so many people celebrate Earth Day, including people that are maybe not so such great environmental stewards.
Yeah.
But yeah. I wanted to invite you to talk about the initiatives that that are happening right now on on your side of the world. There's been a lot of changes, but first I want to welcome you, and please tell us a little bit about you.
Okay. Well, I am originally trained as an architect and an interior designer, and have been passionate about environmental concerns for quite some time, pretty much in my whole life. Actually, when I was a kid in high school, I organized a club to pick up trash on the playgrounds and forced all my friends to join. So it's kind of been a passion of mine for a long time. And then I'm also a new mom. He just turned 18 months. So that's my main job right now. I'm taking a little bit of a break from architecture and design, and just started doing some work with Earth Day Initiative, which is how we got together, how we met. So I actually I'm the campaign manager for our latest campaign and initiative that we're running there, which is the Climate Action Guide.
Amazing. And what is the action? Is that something that we should all know about? What is the Action Climate Guide?
Yeah, so the Climate Action Guide is Basically, I don't know if you're familiar with the IRA, and it's not a retirement account. That's what it sounds like. That's another type, but
Please walk us through the
yeah.
whole from the
So
beginning.
yeah, so the Inflation Reduction Act, that's what the IRA stands for. It's part of the largest climate legislation that's been passed, and it was passed in 2022. And as part of that legislation, there are a lot of federal tax credits and rebates that are going to be available for the general public, that are available for the general public right now, actually. A lot of things for home upgrades that you want to make, or upgrading to a renewable energy vehicle, whether that's electric or fuel cell. There's tax credits out there that are available, and they can be kind of confusing to navigate. There's also going to be some rebate programs which are not launched yet. Those are going to be launched statewide. So we wanted to create a guide that kind of walked people through that, because if you Google it, there's just so many different pieces of information out there, and we found it really confusing. So we launched a guide on our website. You can just go to earthdayinitiative.com or .org, sorry, and look at our guide. And if you're planning on making any home improvements, you can kind of scroll by credit and see what's available. And we also have guides that show you how the credits work together, how much money you can get, how do you claim the credit. We try to answer really simple questions with it. And I can get into more detail of the individual credits, but I don't want to get too nitty gritty and confuse people. So I don't know if you have specific questions you want to ask, or.
Yeah, I think, I really like to, a lot of this information are now accessible for people, at least in some of my communities. So I invite the folks that are listening to the podcast right now to share if this is something that they are familiar with, because especially, I'm an Afro-Latina from Colombia. A lot of immigrants, a lot of low-income people, a lot of people of color oftentimes don't feel that renewable energy incentives are for them. Number one, a lot of us are renters. So,
I know.
So that's the number one challenge. The other challenge is that a lot of us are low income, are just kind of living paycheck by paycheck. So it feels very out of reach to maybe even buy an electric car. So I think it'll be great if you can maybe tell us, some of the incentives, for example, that could be something that people don't know, right now, and that are coming from these federal dollars that were approved by President Biden through the through the IRA, which is the Inflation Reduction Act.
Right. So I think they're trying to make this more accessible to people in lower income communities, people that don't usually get these tax incentives, but they're going to be kind of rolled out in different ways. So there's tax credits, and then there's rebates. And the tax credits are not, most of those are not necessarily they don't have income-based requirements. So it's going to be based on like what your taxable income would be. So in terms of knowing whether you're eligible or not, you would have to go through the exercise of filing your taxes and seeing if it qualifies. But we do show you on our guide like how much money. For example, if you wanted to replace windows and skylights in your home, you could get up to $600 back for the installation of that. The energy efficient home improvement credit as a whole has all of these different line items within it, and it's a potential of $3,200 a year that you could claim. That would get you money back on your taxes. Potentially, it wouldn't. They're actually non-refundable credits, so they won't give you a refund if you're not already getting one. But they will it will still reduce your taxable burden. Is how they work.
Wow. And then for people that own homes that want to do
it. It's unfortunately it's not really for renters. There will be the rebate programs that are going to be rolled out, which is separate. It's still part of the IRA, but it's separate from the tax credits. The rebates will be more targeted towards renters being able to get some of those credits and into lower. It's like some of them have income requirements that are targeted more to lower income populations, so that there's money there as well. And those are going to be things for installing a new heat pump and a new electric dryer, a new electric cooktop if you want to switch to that. So it's really trying to get away from gas and fossil fuels and switching over to electric. Unfortunately, I can't give you like specific numbers for the rebates because I don't know them. They haven't rolled out the programs, and the programs are being rolled out on, it's a federal program, but the money is being allocated to the states. So each state can kind of run their own program. And so on our website, we do explain the rebates, and we have a link that will take you to a product update state file yet. Sorry.
I think, Jennifer, we're kind of getting a little bit of your internet's getting cut off, or I don't know if it's me. If anybody can hear us, please let us know. But while you resolve some of the internet technical difficulties, I want to say that it's been exciting, at least for me, to be part of, of this work in Los Angeles through my work with the Sierra Club and leading the climate action, committee and for the Sierra Club, and first helping, change the policy in Los Angeles that will allow new buildings to be completely electric. And I know for some of you are like, who cares about that? I love my gas stove. I have a lot of friends that have said that to me. I love my gas stove. Especially my Latino friends that, love to grill their tortillas and such, and, having a gas stove in your home is extremely harmful. Even when you don't use it, your gas stove is emitting methane and other gases that are extremely harmful for your health, and especially for children. So if you have an induction or an electric stove right now in your home, this is a blessing, I will say. But there's so many, cities all around California enacting electrification ordinances, especially in new buildings, so that we can, for once and all, divest from fossil fuel infrastructure and start really thinking about what would be a world without fossil fuels and electrify our homes. So I think you're back, Jennifer. Are you back? Yes.
Yeah, I was just messaging you. Is this any better?
I think we can hear you. I think we're going to have to spell it out a little better for people in terms of like some of the incentives. So you're saying that some of them have not been rolled out. Which ones are available today that you can talk about?
So I think that you can look at it like there's tax credits, which is something you would get when you file your taxes. And then there's rebate. There's going to be a rebate program, which are things that are like point of sale that you will get like money off when you purchase the item. And the rebate programs are the ones that we have the less information about right now. And those are probably going to be more applicable to like the lower income communities because they will, they have the income eligibility requirements. So some higher earners are not eligible to receive those. The tax, and like I said, you can go on our website and there's a link that will show if you.
What is your website so people know?
It's earthdayinitiative.org. And I think when you hit our landing page, you will see the climate action guide is like one of the first things that you can click on. So it'll take you, it'll let you choose your own adventure. Like if it's an electric car that you're interested in, it'll take you to those credits. If it's if it's home improvements, then it'll take you to those credits, and it kind of walks you through them one credit by credit. And then we have a couple of explainers. So with the home energy credits, these are available now, and the electric vehicle credits are available now. So if you
I think we should talk about EVs because I definitely get a lot of questions about EV infrastructure. Okay. Also, a lot of like low-income folks don't feel that EV is for them. And I feel that there might be something in here, for us to discuss.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, so there's 3 credits for that kind of technology. There's one for new vehicles, there's one for used vehicles, and there's one for if you install like a charging station in your home. So again, you can get, they have, you have to make sure you meet whatever income requirements and that you're purchasing a qualifying car. And again, there are links on our website. I don't want to sit here and tell you like you have to purchase this car, but you can find that information on our guide. It will link you to that. But for a new car, you can get up to $7,500 off potentially.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
For like an
And
amazing, for like complete, but this is completely EV, not plug-in hybrid.
I believe there are certain hybrids that are also eligible. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's
And then
amazing.
yeah, it's very exciting. And then for a used car, there you can get up to, I believe, it's up to 30% of the cost or $4,000, whichever is less.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think
and
in,
these, sorry, I
uh,
was going to say the cool thing about these is that they are actually point of sale. So you can get them when you go to the dealership. You don't have to wait to file your taxes to get
so the
them.
dealer will do that for you. That's awesome. I
Yeah.
remember a few years ago when I now drive a motorcycle. I'm in that
Oh,
age, and then
cool.
I guess this is my middle age crisis of sorts. I drive a Vespa, which is very convenient, at least in Los Angeles with the traffic. So that's
Yeah.
like one of the things that I love most because it's like very convenient and I can park it anywhere and everybody waves at me and I love that. It's a very
That's
happy
funny.
vehicle. But but before when I was a commissioner for DWP, we also had a rebate in LA where you get it was very little. I believe it was $500 to $700 for an
Mm,
used vehicle. And one of the things that as advocates, you're an advocate, I'm an advocate. A lot of the people that watch my shows and knows about my work, they know that I'm an environmental advocate. And for us, we need to continue pushing for rebates or for incentives that can really allow families of 4 or 5, that have
yeah.
children. You're now a new mom, so you can kind of
Yeah.
feel the pain.
Yeah.
You can't be in a little car now anymore. You need something a little more extra. And how are we going to help those folks um, integrate and be part of
Hmm.
the renewable energy revolution, which is also electrical vehicles, is going to be extremely important.
Yeah.
So I hope that this is just the beginning.
I do too. And I think what's important to note here too is that these are just federal credits. I don't know the specifics of every state, but every state has their own program too. So you can actually, I believe, stack them on top of each other and get multiple credits. So it's starting to come along. And I think the other tricky thing about electric vehicles is that the infrastructure can be tricky.
Yes,
Um,
let's talk about it. Let's talk about
yeah,
it,
yeah.
Jennifer.
Yeah, I mean, I have never personally driven an electric car. I don't have a car in New York, so it's not really something I do on a daily basis. But my sister just rented a car when we were home for the holidays, and she rented an EV, and she had to wait so long to charge it, so it like added time to her trip. And because they're not everywhere yet, so they can be tricky because like you want to support this technology, but if it's going to be an inconvenience for you, are you going to use it? So I think we
Yes,
have to beef up the infrastructure before it becomes widespread.
I hear this often, and I also hear about
Mhm.
range anxiety. So, if in case you didn't know, let me introduce you to this term: is range anxiety. So, for the people that own electrical vehicles, they get very anxious because they might not have a place where they can charge, and they
Yeah.
might just like, what happens?
Mhm.
But besides having to plan extra for your trip or so, I mean, gas prices are super high right now. And one
Yeah.
of the things that people report when they own EV cars is like, I don't have that problem. I don't have to, in some
Yeah.
places like in LA, you also get a different rate when you have an
Mhm.
electrical vehicle and for your bill. And in addition, you can also get some rebates to help you pay for your charger.
Hmm.
So is that something that is also available with the initiatives right now?
Yeah. So if you install a charger in your home, you can get up to 30% of the cost of that, up to $1,000 as well, back on your taxes.
That's great. I mean, like
Yeah.
to put your charger, yeah, and like you said, you can stack them with.
Which
Uh,
I think installing that technology in your own home is going to be key as well, because relying on other stations could be tricky right now.
you guys were just celebrating Earth Day in New York City this past weekend. So for those of
Mhm.
you that maybe don't know that are listening or watching right now, Earth Day is usually on April 20th. There is a very strong history about how Earth Day came about. What was the spirit like? What was it like in New York celebrating Earth Day?
Yeah, so we actually have two events around Earth Day. We do a virtual stage, which is actually coming up on April 22nd, which will be virtual program. So anybody here that's interested in seeing some of that can go onto our website again and like get the programming for that. That will actually be on Earth Day on the 22nd. But the event this weekend was great. I mean, the weather cooperated, thankfully. It only rained for like 20 minutes, and we had a lot of vendors from different from like food vendors that are doing like plant-based foods or kombuchas, to like the energy organizations, to people that are helping people get these organizations that are helping people get these tax credits. So I think people were really into it, and and excited about what's possible. And this event, our organization has been putting this event on since its inception, I think in 1990, and we get like, it's one of the biggest Earth Day festivals in the country.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. Well,
So it's really cool to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think I've seen some Earth Day events, not per se on April 20th or such. I mean, it's not even April 20th yet. So, I see definitely a lot of Earth. I feel like it's more of an Earth month nowadays than Earth Day.
True.
I want to invite people in the audience that are listening to our conversation to send their questions. You can simply type your questions in the comments, and we can pull them in about either Earth Day or some of the initiatives that are, being, spread by Earth Day initiative around the IRA, which is the Inflation Reduction Act, as it pertains to the environment, especially decarbonizing your home, and also electrical vehicle infrastructure. I wanted to ask you a question because this is something that always comes up, and I have felt very confronted about this personally, because I feel like now everybody celebrates Earth Day, even some of the people that pollutes our planet the most. Chevron, like the big fossil fuel industry, gas. I mean, we were just talking about electrifying your home, and while you were having, technical difficulties, I was talking about the harms of having a gas stove in your home and how harmful it is, with the new research and the data. How do, as advocates for environmental issues, and as people are listening and thinking, I just found out that my recycling is actually greenwashing. We don't even recycle. I just found out that this happens, and actually it doesn't happen. So there's a lot of like climate apathy.
Right, it's really hard. It's really, really hard. The recycling thing gets me too, because it feels like the rules.
I am an avid. I mean, I separate carton and paper,
and the rules always change. Like they're always changing
everything. And I've been now seeing these videos about like, we don't even recycle all that. So don't even what do we tell people when they say, this Earth Day is really a greenwashing practice? What do we say?
I think, I think, yes, there is some of that. And as an individual, I can't control it. I can only do what I can do and focus on like doing my part. And so, yes, we need to hold these organizations accountable. And I think the way that you can do that on a personal level is to support organizations that are doing the work that you believe in, putting your money where you support, and eventually, like, the more people that do that, the more that's going to put pressure on the industry to make changes, because you are seeing that happen. You're seeing it in my industry, like with like healthy materials and buildings. Like, we are now pushing for more transparency in what goes into the products that go into people's homes that contribute to indoor air quality, which relates to health and sustainability. And I think now manufacturers are creating labels, like basically like nutrition labels for building products, because people want to know what's in those products. So I think putting pressure on industries by just demanding the transparency is something that we can do as individuals.
Yeah. I mean, I have like a couple of other hot takes about Earth Day. I truly believe that Earth Day is every day. That earlier I saw a post, and I'm at that age now. I have been an advocate since I was 13 years old. I'm now in my mid-40s. I'm at that age right now that I'm just like, am I going to put this comment again? Like it's just been, a long journey, let's just say. But earlier I was I made a comment on online saying, we're past beyond planning. We need radical action. Like I don't know for how long are we going to be demanding like real change that is transformative, because all this incrementalism is not, at least for me, we still see the floods, we still see the fires, we still see seawater rising, we still see the glacier melting, we see so many things, we see farmers having to be immigrate to other places because they can't farm anymore. I mean, there's so many effects of climate change and so many solutions. One that I like too is like, you got to hit them, you got to follow the money, and you got to hit them when it hurt most.
Yeah.
Like bank with a better bank, bank with an environmental bank or a small bank or something that is like has a social justice, a spirit or ethos. I bank with aspiration. I need to get, the founder of the bank again here to tell us a little more about aspiration. Is it's one of the things that we can do that is really easy to do. Divest from your bank. If you're banking with Wells Fargo, with Chase, with Bank of America, go find a better bank. The other thing is I use more public transit. It's like well, you don't have that issue because in New York, you guys.
That's the only thing I use. Like, and that's harder for people to do in more rural and suburban areas where that's not accessible.
Yeah, but. I mean, obviously in like agriculture, like how do we practice better, like
sustainable regenerative farming and things like that. I think it's a huge scaling issue too, because some of that stuff, like these systems have been in place forever, and especially the food stuff. It's there's all these systems of the way that's always been done. So switching to something that's more regenerative it's gonna take radical change for sure. And
the amount of waste in this country is unbelievable. That's something that we also need to change. Eat less, buy less.
Buy less, exactly. And also, I think it's important
to use.
Right. When you're thinking about a product that you want to buy or something for your home, whether it's furniture, clothing, whatever, think about the whole life cycle of the product, not just the thing that you're buying now and how long you're going to use it, but like who made it, where was it made, how ethically was it made, and then what's going to happen to it when you don't want it anymore. Like, is it going to biodegrade? Can you gift it to somebody? Can you take it apart and make it into something else? There are a lot of companies doing that kind of thing and thinking about that. And so I think, like, again, spending money with those companies and putting that is something important. There's an example in my own life that I'll tell you. It's a small thing, but like, I'm a new mom, and there are car seats that still have flame retardants in them. And I did a lot of research to find ones that didn't, because I didn't want to expose my kid to that, And so there are people, that's been something that people have wanted, parents have wanted, and they put pressure on the industry. And now a lot of car seat manufacturers are switching.
I see a lot of on Instagram. I see a lot of the comments. I'm going to get to them, but I just want to address this comment about no bank is there's no environmental banks. I got one bank for you that you can check is aspiration. That's definitely an environmental bank. I want to go to some questions in the audience, but before I go into the questions, I want to talk about low-income folks and all of these initiatives and proposals that we're making, or all this like conversation that we're having around environmental issues or environmentalism. And some people say like, well, I cannot afford to go to the farmer's market, or I cannot afford an EV car because I'm a low-income person or such. And I just want to say that some of the biggest conservationists that I have met are low-income people because they need to. So, like I grew up in a home where we always brought baskets to the farmer's market. And we went to the farmer's market because we could buy in bulk and make everything instead of just buying it made, like the tomato sauce or things like that. We use the bus. We use a bus. Even now, when I go to the supermarket, I take my bicycle because, that's kind of for a lot of communities, including, immigrant communities that don't maybe even drive a car. That's like the way that they do it. So if you are in the comments gonna come at me with, the fact that low income people cannot enjoy the benefits, or eat less meat, or even buy less, well, let me tell you that a lot of them are already doing it. However, I want to come back to a question that I saw earlier, that says, do you think it's wise to push for this initiative if multi-state infrastructures are not up to speed with the demand? And I think that this was a question when we're talking about initiatives that from the IRA, and that some states that we don't know, some states have them and some states don't.
So I think what we're trying to do is push the information that already exists and have a place where people can go and keep track of them for when they are. Because what's confusing is that when you do look into it, there's all over the place. So we wanted to have one place that people could go and we could take them other places and track the information as it becomes available and keep it as accurate as possible. So, and the biggest piece right now that is available are the tax incentives, and those are it's federal, it's nationwide. So you can get those tax incentives starting now and up until the year 2032, actually. So you've got time. And I also think it's important to get the information out right now, especially with the tax credits specifically. Like, it can actually, if you're looking to do work across multiple years, you can keep claiming these tax credits. You can phase the work so you can maximize the credits. We have a case study that we did, a hypothetical case study of doing renovations for a home with some of these upgrades that shows how you can actually take more advantage of the credits by phasing it out over a couple of years rather than doing all the work in 1 year, which could be more costly for people. So there are ways to do little pieces at a time. And we have those guides on our website to help with that.
Wow. And I think I put the website here, and I wish I could share it, but I will be so ashamed to show you all my tabs, in my computer. I'm a tab lady, some people call me, but yeah, there's a lot of interesting, stuff that you have on your website. And I hope people can visit earthdayinitiative.org. And, and I also want to just say, somebody just recently posted on the comments, Earth Day is every day. It's not something that you do today. I feel blessed that even today we can have a conversation about initiatives around electrical vehicles and, changing stoves, or, because until very recently, we couldn't even fathom something like that, as an incentive or something that I never thought in my life, think about this, Jennifer, that I will be sitting talking to someone about changing your stove will help the environment. Let that sink in. I want everybody to think about this, because this is how advanced, this is how far we have, we have gone, in this spectrum of what are the pieces that are helping us protect our planet? What are some of the things? So now it's not, I remember growing up, it was global warming and it was the aerosols, remember, with the big hair and that was like what was causing the hole in the ozone layer. Now there are, so many, so many things that are important in the process of us. So what I'm trying to say here with my comment is, there are so many ways in which you can participate and be a better environmental steward, and you just have to pick your lane. Somebody was asking in the comments if I thought that our liberties, civil liberties, were taken away with EV cars. And I'm assuming that this comment is coming. Let me read it again. I'm assuming that this comment is coming from a place of, if we go fully electric. because eventually we're going to have a smart meters, and maybe the utilities are going to have access to them, so they can say like when we can charge our car, demand response of
Mm-hmm.
what we call this term, autonomous cars. If you worry about your civil liberties, look at what's happening with Roe versus Wade. Okay, why don't we start there? Like what's happening to women. The fact that you cannot teach African American history, like real history, like real factual
Yeah.
history in some places in this country. I will be worried about that if I was you. Or there are so many, or you're on Facebook, I mean, Meta, all these platforms. I mean, let's not be naive, guys. I think let's not lose sight of what's important here, which is if we don't act urgently, and if we don't take,
Mm-hmm.
now we have advantage of these like initiatives, but if we don't act urgently in our own homes, with our kids, with our
Right.
parents, with our boyfriends, with our ex-wives, whoever it is that you're dealing with,
Yeah.
if we don't act with the urgency that we need, we're not going to have a livable planet, maybe even
Yeah.
for us.
We've all got to do it together. We've all got to do it together. And I think that's kind of the point of Earth Day Initiative as a organization, is they don't want it to be one day, right? They want it. We do plan the events every year, but they have programs that they're doing all year long. And it was started to kind of embrace the energy of Earth Day, but keep it going for every day. It's not. And I think, again, to that point of there are so many things that you can get bogged down with. And if you just pick the thing that you're interested in and make that change, make that one change and keep it simple, we can all do our part.
And take advantage of the initiatives, for the love of God. I mean, they're
They're out there. It's free money. Like, if you're gonna, I'm not, it's not saying like go do home renovations if you weren't planning on it. Don't replace it if you don't need it. But if your boiler breaks, or your AC breaks, and you're gonna replace it with something that is going to be more environmentally friendly and will get you money back. That's all we're saying.
Absolutely. And it's always so heartbreaking for me to see that there's so many of these initiatives that at the end they're like, oh, we have all these surplus because people never came for it. So part of the idea of me having you in this my podcast and my live stream podcast, it was to just bring some awareness. It's like, go find out and go get your money, and now you got me thinking about, like, maybe I should invest in like a Leaf, like a small, car.
Well, and I want to mention one other thing, because I think if you're struggling to figure out what you should do, there's something called a home audit that you can get done, which has somebody come over and look at your house and help you prioritize what to do. And that you get a tax incentive for getting that done as well. You can get just like, I think $150 back on your taxes just for having a home audit done and prioritizing potentially what you want to do. Because you also, if you're going to make these big changes, there's ways and kind of an order of how you should do them to get to be the most energy efficient that they can be. And a home audit will help you do that.
Absolutely.
That's why it's there.
That is, I forgot about that part. Yeah, the fact that you can hire somebody that tells you, like, hey, you can change your lights, or your water pipes and things like that's exciting. Right. Okay, I want to bring this comment. It's a long comment. But Subconscious Entertainer from Facebook, thank you for sending your question or your comment. He said, I think Earth Day starts right at home. LA or Los Angeles is one of the filthiest cities I ever lived in, and people litter everywhere without second thought. And it's all watching into our storm drain directly into the Pacific Ocean. Oh my God, yes, that hurts. We're worried about greenhouse gases, which is important, but we have junkies dumping needles and pooping on our sidewalks. This comment there's so many ways that I want to tackle this comment. Thank you so much. And this is our most direct and determined form of pollution right in our face. And our elected officials do nothing about it. Okay. And I think you have more, but he hide it. Okay. Awesome. Wow. So I think number one, something that I want to comment about is there's so much intersectionality on everything that we do. I see people smoking cigarettes, they throw their little butts in the ground. This one butt becomes 74 million billion people in the world, whatever how many people smoke in the world. Imagine the many, and imagine that they all end on our all the trash ends on our oceans. And I don't know what the storm capturing practices are in New York, but in Los Angeles, it's quite new because we don't have a lot of rain. So there's been a lot more. Um, there's been a lot more wanting to capture storm water so that we can utilize it later when we need it. Right now, it's just cleans everything down the drain. So it's important in terms of wastewater. The other piece that I wanted to mention about your comment, subconscious, is about homelessness.
Mm.
And I mean, we're having a huge issue of homelessness here in Los Angeles, San Francisco, a lot of the big cities. I think New York also.
Yeah, definitely.
It's very painful. But I don't think we're ever going to be able to end homelessness unless we really tackle capitalism. And the idea that we have a very extractive economy extracts our environment, pollutes our planet, pollutes our political process, and is the very people that exploit, a lot of like working class, folks in this country. So all of this, I feel like together with the environment is interrelated. The fact that farmers in some places cannot grow their food because it's unlivable, or is, the terrain is damaged, to the folks that we see on the streets. I hope that people can see how all of it is interconnected, and it's bringing, and I know you might think, well, this unhoused person came and they live in my corner, but you got to really look at what has been all of the systems, racism, discrimination in the workforce, and and so many other places. And it's important for us not to lose sight that all of these issues, are interconnected. And I think with Earth Day initiatives it's interesting because you will think that one of the things that you guys should try to promote most is having a great Earth Day. Like just have an amazing, day with the Earth. Did you know why you guys decided to take this route, in terms of promoting the IRA initiatives, with the broader community?
Why did we decide to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Because well, let me ask you a question. Did you know about the IRA before I emailed you about it?
I mean, I knew about the IRA, and I knew that there were a lot of money for the environment, but I didn't know how this is going to really benefit me. Now
so that's the answer right there. There's so many people had no idea that it's there. And we're not the only organization out there like talking about what there is, what these credits are. But I think from our perspective, it was just like, it's just this like thing floating out there that people don't really have a grasp on. And we wanted to make the information accessible and put it in front of people. And one other thing I want to note, we actually have a calculator on our website too, where you can it's a partnership through Rewiring America. And it allows you to put in like your zip code, your income, things like that. And it'll tell you exactly what you qualify for or potentially qualify for.
This is on the website too?
Yeah, this is part of the climate action guide. So you can go and actually see what is personalized to you in your zip code. And it's not like a guaranteed amount. It's, it's still like, it's going to tell you like, you got to meet these requirements, but it'll tell you at least here's a place to start,
Awesome. So look, you got me with, you just gave me a lot of homework. Now I need to go.
There you go.
And I hope everybody's homework is like, next time what I need to do is tell people, go on the website and tell me, how much benefits are you getting? I'm very curious. So go to earthdayinitiative.org and you can put your zip code and find out what are some of the benefits that you can have. You can, there's a calculator. Oh, that's the calculator, I
That's the
think.
calculator. You can
You
look at
can
our
also,
little diagrams we've created to try to simplify them. You can read about individual credits if you're interested in one thing in particular. So
and also people can go to the website and reach out in case they wanted more information or how to get involved with Earth Day initiatives as well.
absolutely. And there's also, as part of the campaign, there's also a speakers bureau. So if you're interested in more information, I think there's actually an organization that will give you a presentation and even explain it more nitty gritty. So we're linking to a couple of other organizations as well.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I feel like I learned so much. I
Great.
hope that the people that are watching this and listening to this podcast, please put a little heart in the comments for Jennifer Morris, who has been a very amazing guest today for us. Thank you so much. We have a new name, Jennifer. Now we are the Impact Hour, which is like really exciting.
Nice.
We
Amazing.
have been evolving in the podcast. We hope that you come back in whichever fashion that
absolutely.
in whichever capacity. We would love to have you. If there is more, I know that more things are rolling out, so I feel like next time we need to go really deep and explain to people with some real examples about how this can be very beneficial to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. This has been a great conversation.
Yeah, of course. Please come back. And I always ask my guests before they leave, what is one thing that gives you hope about your work or about what you're doing right now, or maybe something else? Who knows? Maybe something different. But what gives you hope?
Gives me hope. I think my son, honestly, if I have to say one thing, he's bringing me so much joy, and I want to keep doing work in and around this space to make the world a better place for him.
Yeah. I think for me, what gives me hope is every time I go out to nature, I'm very, I love going hiking and trekking and things like that. And every time I go out there, the resilience of nature is pretty unbelievable to observe. That there's been in California, we have seen fires, we have seen places being completely flushed out by, floods and, and storms. And nature always comes back. So that gives me a lot of hope. And if we are one with nature, and if we are, really in tune with that, I hope that we also find the resilience to find solutions to protect our beautiful, bigger home. Awesome, Jennifer. Well, thank you so much. And we'll see you very soon. Thank you for hosting us, or joining us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, friends. Thank you so much for being with us today. We just spoke to Jennifer Morris from Earth Day Initiatives. I feel like I learned so much from local initiatives to ways to figure out what are some of the benefits. Don't forget to visit earthdayinitiatives.org and find out how you can also benefit from some of these incentives and initiatives, and keep an eye out. All right. Until I see you next time, I'm Aura Vasquez, and this is the Impact Hour. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.